Hi everyone, Mike McConville here one more time again for StringTech Workstations. I wanted to talk a little bit about refretting a bound fingerboard. I know that this was always an extra challenge for my level 2 students, undercutting the crown and fitting the fret properly. Here's a little trick that I use to protect the soundboard while you're doing this. So I have a tongue depressor here that I've cut to shape, and I tape that into place so that when we're doing our edge dress, there's no danger of scoring the top of the guitar with the edge of the file. It's a little safety measure. Same thing on the other side. We just kind of tuck that up tight to the fingerboard and tape it in place. This is another tongue depressor trick. Mike Davis had asked specifically if I could do a, and I probably could, do a video just on all the uses for tongue depressors, but here's another use. This is my rough cut. So that's how much overhang I leave. I've got 4 more frets to go in, and I'm going to cut those and walk you through that procedure. That's how much protrusion, almost none. So when I go to do that edge dress, there's 0 chance of me loosening up those frets on the outside edge. Here's a shot of the other side. So in this case we've got EVO fret wire. This is 5590, the same as the Dunlop 6105 profile. So it's 90 thou wide, 55 thou high. Okay, step 1. We cut that fret wire just a little bit oversized. Step 2, we have filed the cross-sectional profile of the fret flush. Our next step, we cut off that tang on the underside, and then I flush the underside of the crown and take the residue of the tang extrusion off, because I want to make sure that that underside of the crown is nice and flush. So this is the tolerance I go for the tang. You want to come tight to the binding, but it can't be too long or there's a danger of pushing the binding off when you go to tap in the fret. This is our next step. So that's how close that I get my rough cut. Just the slightest little bit of protrusion. Now this is our last step. I polish the end of that fret. Both sides, nice and smooth. Next step, I have this Japanese saw that I use to just make sure there's no obstruction in that slot before we drive that fret in. Final step, we center that fret. Now we're ready to tap it into place. A 1-pound dead blow hammer and a maple dowel. 1, 2, 3, and that's it. That's perfectly seated. Now, because of all that extra preparation that we took, this job now becomes a fraction of the effort. And again, like I mentioned in that Strat video, the maple neck Strat refret, you're better off erring on the side of caution and keeping that file a little too steep as opposed to a little too shallow. And that is a perfect edge dress. Done deal. And that's why I went to the extra trouble to not only cut the tolerances that close, but actually polish and buff the end of the fret. Now we go to the other end of the fingerboard, and you can see now why we taped that tongue depressor into place to protect that top. The body is held, the neck is held. I can relax, concentrate on the job. You're really listening more than looking. There's no more grinding now. We've got that dead flush. Now we will still polish those outside ends after we do our final leveling, and it won't take much because this fingerboard was already prepared in advance.